Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 56 of Be With Me. Today we're going to talk about some people's favorite chapter in the Bible. And we're going to talk about one of the most famous verses in the book of Romans. And I'm going to title today, The Most Expensive Passage in the Bible. That is, the passage that we're going to talk about refers to a sacrifice. And what a sacrifice is it's something that is difficult and expensive and costs something to enact. And the sacrifice is going to end up being our minds and our behaviors as we offer them and give them to God. So this is from Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Turn in your Bibles there. My goodness, what a great passage this is. Let me read. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what the will of God is, what is good, acceptable, and perfect. So think about it this way. Let's just start. We have this holy God who's up in heaven. He's this burning orb of untouchable holiness. But he doesn't choose to stay there. He loves us and he cares for us and he interacts and he wants to come down and touch us. So first he has to put us through the mercy factory. So this passage is in the context of chapter 11, where God puts both the Jews, ethnic Israel, and then the Gentiles, which we've been calling the faith Israel. He puts both those groups of people through his mercy factory to have interaction with us. So that's a characteristic of God. He puts us through this mercy factory. And then he has this will for us. So he doesn't just sort of let us play in the street. He has a will for us. He has a communication of his mind and his desire. And we find out from the passage that it is good and acceptable and imperfect. So God has something he wants for us. The problem is, we live in the real world, and right away you see this conflict in this passage, which is don't be conformed to this world. So conformation to the world, con means with, formation means shape. So the world wants to shape us and wants us to have the same shape and the values that it has. So the passage says, be transformed by the renewal of our mind. So that is being shaped differently. Be transformed. Have a different shape and be being having a different shape. That is, have it be an active process. So we're trying to get to the goal of a body and an action and a behavior. But he doesn't start with the body. He says, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. Well, how? Well, it's by not being conformed to this world, by this transformation process. And ultimately, he's saying this is going to please God so much, we're going to describe this as worship. So back to this different shape. So Christianity is hard. It can't be easy to be cooperating with God and changing shape. So there's going to be some hammering and pounding and clay readying and firing pieces of clay. So to make us fruitful, we're going to have to change shape. So the goal of this all is related to the body, but it doesn't start with the body. So the goal is behavior and actions that can be known and seen by others and by God as worship. That is pleasing to God, reflective of his character. I want to talk about this word sacrifice for a second. So sacrifice means that it comes at a cost, and I think we'll talk about this tomorrow. But there's a passage from 2 Samuel 24:24 where David is going to offer a sacrifice to God, and someone wants to give him that sacrifice for free, and he refuses, and he says, no, I will not offer burnt offerings to the Lord that cost me nothing. So sacrifice is expensive. And that's where I get this idea that sacrifice comes at a cost. So this sacrifice that we're talking about in Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2 is the most expensive passage in the Bible. The worship of our body, the renewal of our mind is expensive. It comes at a great cost. So here's the method. The method is a renewed mind, transforming your mind. How do we do it? It says discern by testing. Testing what? Testing the thoughts that go through your mind. So the transformation is there. And so we're going to test what's happening in our mind. We're going to say to ourselves, is this in the Bible? What is the God's will in this matter? Is this according to his will? Would this please him? Discerning. So we're continually testing the things that go through our mind. If this action or thought was seen by my spouse or my Christian community or by my pastor or maybe by my parent, what would they say about this? So we're continually testing, putting our thoughts through test. So our ideas and our plans and our behaviors are being renewed by being put to the test. And here's where it gets expensive. So you don't get to do what you want to do. You don't get to think what you want to think unexaminedly. You don't get to say something that's undisciplined. You don't get to walk as if buffeted around. This renewal is expensive. It's costly. It's painful. Now it's worth it because you get to worship and you get to harmony with God. All right, so here's what you sign up for when you sign up for renewing your mind, being transformed by this passage. Here's what you sign up for: that God exists. He's there. He wants a relationship with us. He wants us to get to know him. He wants us to have a walk with him. But there's a cost that you have. It has to shape you differently. You can't be seen as the same shape as the world, and that's the conflict. The world wants to same shape you, and the Lord wants to different shape us, that is, transform us. The battleground is our mind, our renewal, the testing, this active agency over our mind. So it's going to be a little difficult. It's going to be a little exhausting. It's an ongoing process. It is a moment, and then it's another, and then it's another. So it results in then a body, a display, a behavior, actions that is led by the renewed mind. That is this renewed sheriff. We got a new sheriff in town. It's described as a sacrifice. It comes at great cost to us. I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Don't be conformed to this world. Be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, acceptable, and perfect. That is the most expensive passage in the Bible. See you tomorrow.